Hey everyone, Jake here for American Muscle, and in this video we're taking a look at the Speedform Mach 1 style upper grille with LED daytime running light and turn signals fitting 2018 to 2023 Mustang GT and EcoBoost models. If you're after that Mach 1 type of look but want to take things one step further, this is going to be your grille. Featuring clean OEM inspired styling and additional lighting elements, this grille is going to help your Mustang stand out in the crowd, and it does it for a really reasonable price. Now the S550 Mach 1 has proven very popular over its time on the market, and now you can bring a little bit of its signature style to your GT or EcoBoost. The signature look with the two large nostrils here is retained, only these aren't blank or filled in with big round fog lights like grills of yore. Instead, each has an LED ring around the outer edge. Now these are going to light up a bright white when you power the car on and act as additional daytime running lights. Really gives the car a much more menacing appearance, which really goes well with the S550 to begin with. Now those LEDs also function as turn signal repeaters for a little extra visibility and a unique flare. And given that this grille has a much more open honeycomb pattern to it than your standard unit, it's going to provide a bit more airflow to the engine bay as well. Plus the deletion of the pony badge in the center makes the whole thing look a little bit more slick. Now the grille itself is made from injection molded ABS plastic, so it's strong and it's really lightweight, and it comes ready to mount right out of the box. The lights are of course LED elements that put out a nice diffused light for the DRLs and turn signals, though they do require a bit of wiring to get them working. It's not too much, and we'll talk about that more momentarily. Otherwise though, this is going to clip right in place of your stock grille, so you don't have to modify really anything on your car. Now pricing for this one comes in at about $275, which is really not bad for a replacement grille, especially one that includes additional lighting elements. Now, you would spend a heck of a lot more money getting a legit Mach 1 grille from Ford themselves, and that one's not going to include these lights. So if you're after that style, you want some serious bang for your buck and a little bit extra, this is going to be a great option for your build. Installation is going to get a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Now, in order to replace the grille, you are going to have to pull your front bumper cover off. And again, as we were talking about earlier, there is a bit of wiring required in order to get those LEDs working. However, it's really not all that much. As you can see, the lights themselves already have pigtails built in, and everything you need, including the little converter box, is included in the kit right there, ready to go for you. And then otherwise, this is just going to clip right in place of your stock grille, no other modifications required. So with all that said, let's hop on out to the shop now and we'll walk you through the process.
The tools you'll need for this project are a ratchet, a 7, 8, and 10 millimeter socket, a swivel joint, a long extension, a regular pair of pliers, a pair of needle nose pliers, a pair of wire strippers and crimpers, a trim panel removal tool, a flathead screwdriver, a butt connector, a spade bit, and some extra wire. Hi everyone, today we're installing an upper grille on our Mustang. So to do that, we're going to have to remove our front bumper. So let's get started by watching a short video on how to uninstall your front bumper.
So for this install, obviously because we are replacing the front bumper, the factory front bumper is going to have to come off. I'm going to walk you through the whole process and show you all the tools you'll need to get the job done. So let's get started. I'm going to start by using my clip tool to remove the clips that hold down the upper rad cover. Just pop these out and then rad cover will come right off. Next, I'm going to use my 6mm and 8mm sockets to remove the 8 screws along the top of the front bumper. There are 2 6mm, one on each corner, and 6 8mm along the front. So just to make my job a little bit easier, I've got the car supported on a lift. You can also use jack stands, and I'm going to pull the front wheels, and that's going to give me better access to the hardware for the inner fender liner as well as the corner of the bumper. So there are 5 clips on the inner wheel well liner that I need to remove, and this is going to gain me access to the corner bolts for the bumper. So I'll just use my clip tool once again and pull those 5 clips out. And now I can do the same thing on the other side of the vehicle. Now that I have my inner fender hardware removed, I can peel back my inner fender liner and expose the two 10mm nuts that hold the corner of the bumper on. I'm going to use my 10mm socket to remove those, and then I can unplug the light that's mounted in the bumper. Once you have everything unhooked, you can repeat this on the other side. So the last thing I need to remove before I can pull the front bumper off of this car is the belly pan for the vehicle, and there are two clips and a bunch of 7mm screws that hold it in place. I'm going to use my clip tool once again, and as well as a 7mm socket to pull all the hardware off the bottom and pull the belly pan off. At this point, we're ready to pull the front bumper off the car. I pulled the corners down just to release the clips, and now I can just lift this off and remove it from the vehicle.
So in order to remove our upper grille, first of all, you're going to want to put your bumper on a soft surface to prevent any scratches or damage to the paint on the front of the bumper. Then once you've got it up here, we're going to have to remove the center section of the grille support right here. And to do that, we're going to use a flathead screwdriver. There are several tabs located around here that we're going to have to pry away. Now these can be kind of difficult to get out, so take your time, have a little patience, and you'll be able to work this through and get this center support off. And the same thing for the grille. It's got the same kind of tabs as on the center support section, so we'll be using our flathead screwdriver for that as well. And again, they can be a little difficult to get off, so just take your time, have a little patience, and everything will work out just fine. All right, so to take out this center section, we've got 6 tabs, 2 on each corner, and then 2 in the center. So we'll go ahead and use our screwdriver, slide it in between the support section and the tab, and press the tab to the inside of the grille and slightly lift up. Once you do that, things start coming apart nicely. And you can lift it right out. Now to remove our grille, it's going to be the same process as removing the center support section. We've got tabs here. We've got 20 tabs all the way around here holding that grille in. So again, we're just going to use our flathead screwdriver, only this time we're going to pry the tabs away from the grille itself, starting on the end and lifting up. Now, like I said, if one becomes a little too difficult, try moving to the other side and get that one out first. And just work your way around. Now to install our new grille, it's just going to be a reversal of our uninstall process. So we're just going to lie this down on the back side of the bumper, over the tabs, and then push it down to lock the tabs in place. So we'll just start from one end. Now you can push up on the bottom of the bumper as well to help make sure that they get locked into position. All right, once they're all locked in, now we can go ahead and replace our center section. Now we'll do the same thing with our center section. We'll just line up our tabs. And then starting from one end, push them down so that they lock into place. Now, because our new grill does have some additional lights that weren't on the OEM version, we are going to have to run our wiring harness first before we reinstall our bumper. All right, so as you can see, we've got our new harness connector for our lights in the grill. So we've got a control box, we've got a couple of plug-in connectors that will plug in directly to the lights, and then we've got a couple of yellow wires here that are going to plug into, well, we'll have to splice them into our turn signal harness on the vehicle. Once we've got that done, then we can actually connect our positive and our negative wires to the fuse box and to a proper ground. So let's go ahead and get this started. We'll go ahead and run our harness first, and then we'll go ahead and get everything connected up. So to start off, we're just going to put our control box up here next to our windshield wiper reservoir, and then we're going to feed our wires underneath the core support here, out in front, and along this front bar here. Now you've got two different lengths of connectors here, so our longer connector is going to go to the driver's side. So we'll feed that through here. So we run our harness down the side of the shutter assembly here, and there's a cutout in the rubber flap on the side. We can fit our wire through there. And then we'll feed our yellow wire back out through that and underneath the flap at the end so that we can connect that to our parking light harness. And now we'll do the same thing for our passenger side. We'll just feed that through. And we'll run that the same way on the passenger side. All right, as we said earlier, we do need to tap into our parking light harness over here and our turn signal harness. So the kit comes with these quick connectors that you can use. Obviously ours has been modified before, so we won't be using the quick connectors, but if you choose to do that, basically what you're going to do is you're going to snap this connector over your harness wire, and the outside version of this is a complete pass-through. The other side is stopping. So the outside of this, we're going to slip this over our factory harness wire here, and then we'll feed our wire from our light into the other side, and when it stops, what you'll do, use a pair of pliers and crimp down on the metal tab in the middle of the quick connector. Once you've got that all the way level with the housing, then go ahead and close it up and lock it in place. Now, like I said, we won't be using that. We are actually using a T-tap. The way a T-tap works is very similar to the quick connect. So you're going to place on your T-tap, you're going to place it over your wire on your factory harness, and then close the lid, and then again, using your pliers, go ahead and crimp this down until the two sides lock together. Now, once they lock together, then you can use a spade bit on the end of your wire from the lights to go ahead and connect that, and then it just plugs into the connector like this. That's the version that we're going to be using. Obviously, you can see we've already got T-taps installed. We've done this once or twice before. So let's go ahead and get our spade bit on the end of our yellow wire so that we can get that plugged in. So you're going to want to strip about 1/4 of an inch off the end of your wire, twist it together, keep it from fraying, Slide your spade bit over the end. And then using your crimpers, go ahead and crimp that into place. Now, once you've got it crimped on, give it a little tug, make sure it's nice and tight and it's not coming off. Now we can go ahead and plug this into our wire. Now, you may be wondering which of these wires you're going to plug into. Well, we're going to plug into our turn signal wire. And on the driver's side, it is this blue wire here with a green stripe on. On the passenger side, it's going to be a yellow wire with a purple stripe on it. So it's also going to be most likely the second one in from the edge. If you see that, that's the one we're going to tap into. So we'll go ahead and plug that in. And now you can repeat that process for the other side. All right, now we're ready to make a power connection for our box and our lights. To do that, we need to strip off about 1/4 inch off of the red and the black wire connected to our control box. So we'll use our strippers again. Get about 1/4 inch stripped off. Twist them together. Now with our wire stripped, we can go ahead and insert it into the end of our fuse tap. And use our crimpers, we'll go ahead and crimp those two together. Now you'll most likely need an extension for your ground wire as well. So for this, we'll be using an electrical butt connector. Insert that into one end, crimp that on. Crimp the ends of our extension wire. Again, twist those together. Insert one end into the other end of the butt connector. And crimp those together. Now on the other end of our extension, we'll insert that into the supplied ring connector and crimp that on. Now we'll go ahead and insert this into our fuse panel. I'll show you where that's going to go. And then we can connect this to a suitable ground so that we've got power to our lights. So we'll open up our fuse box. And the fuse that we're going to be tapping into is this one right here. So it's the 4th one from the front towards the inside, towards the motor. So we'll go ahead and pull that out, insert that into the other slot on our fuse tap, and then insert our fuse tap back into that location. Now, once we've got that done, we'll go ahead and route our wire out of the fuse box. Go ahead and close that back up. And then we'll route our ground wire back around the outside of the fuse box. And for our purposes, now you can route this anywhere you want. For our purposes, we're just going to mount it underneath this core support bolt here. So use a 10mm socket to remove that bolt. Slip the ring connector on and put it right back in place. Now you can go ahead and mount your control box, again, wherever you can find place for it. For our purposes, since we're not going to be actually leaving this on the vehicle, we're just going to tuck it down behind the core support here so that we can finish the rest of our install. Now with all of our electrical connections made, we're ready to go ahead and lift our bumper back up and get it installed back on the vehicle. Now we can go ahead and put our 8 bolts across the top of our bumper here, starting on the ends with our 2 7mm. And then our 8mm in the center. And tighten the ones on the end with our 7mm socket. And then use our 8mm for the ones in the center. Now we can reattach our bumper to our fender simply by lifting it up, aligning the studs with the holes. And then attaching our 2 10mm nuts. And then tightening them down with our 10mm socket. And now you can repeat that process on the other side. Now before we reattach our bumper to our fender with our 2 10mm nuts on each side, now it's time to go ahead and reconnect our turn signal harness and our new lights in the grille. So we're just going to reach up here and plug the lights into our harness that we ran previously. Now we plug them in. Now you can plug in your turn signal harness as well. And then repeat that process for the other side. Now we can go ahead and reinstall our belly pan using the original hardware. All right, now we can tighten them all down using our 7mm socket. All right, now we can start replacing our push pins as well. And now we can get the push pins inside the fender wells. And now you can do the ones on the other side too. And finally, we can reinstall our radiator support cover. Reinstall the original push pins for that. And your installation is now complete. And that wraps up our review and install of the Speedform Mach 1 style upper grille with LED DRL and turn signal for your 18 to 23 Mustang GT and EcoBoost. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.